Hi, this video is going to be on finding the percent, which this is a review for 7th grade. My big thing is whenever they give you a sentence, you can always replace the word percent with part. We're trying to figure out like what part of the whole thing, well the whole thing's always 100%, so what part of 100% is this? So this is just a really basic question. 15 is what percent of 64? So I'm going to show one way, an exact way, and then I'll show an estimation way also. Last unit I introduced making a table, and really it is the best way to go with, I think. And there's a few other ways of doing this, and I'll be showing a few. But one way of doing these problems is make a table, and hopefully you do it ahead of time so you don't waste too much time. Notice I'm using a ruler. What a great, fabulous idea to have some straight lines. Who would think? Okay, here's the first part. Part, whole. In the first column, I want to make a ratio that is representing the part. In the other column, these are columns by the way, Greek columns, I want to represent something that's the whole. Well, I'm going to put whatever the number is that's in standard form, and then I'm going to put my percents in the denominator of whatever of these fractions I'm going to make. Well, whole percent, that's always going to be 100%. So that's kind of nice. Cool. Whatever. Let's read the question, and this is where reading it is a huge part. Like, if you don't understand what you're reading, then that's a bigger issue than knowing how to solve it. You have to know how to read it. So 15 is what percent? What percent? That probably means that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to call that P for percent. I'm solving for the percent. Okay. Now we need to figure out, well, which number goes in which box, because that can get kind of tricky. 15 is what percent of 64? So let's think about what I mentioned earlier. I had mentioned I would replace the word percent with the word part. And notice how amazing my handwriting is with this. Wow, that looks fantastic. Let's just do this. I'm going to cross out the word percent, and I'm going to put the word part right above it. So let's read it with that. 15 is what part of 64? Well, 15 is a part. It's a piece of 64. Then it's the part. That's 15. And the whole must be 64. Cool. Let's set that up and solve it. We got 15 over P is equal to 64 over 100. Okay. Variables in the denominator, it's a proportion. I have to cross multiply. Now, you might say, wait, Mr. V, you always say to simplify the fraction. I can definitely take 64 and 100 and divide top and bottom by 4. You're totally right, you can. Here's the deal. I don't simplify if this is 100, because 100 is just going to move the decimal, and it's not going to really do anything. So it's actually easier just to leave it in this case. So I'm going to do that. I've got 15 times 100, I just add 2 zeros, I'm moving the decimal twice, is equal to 64p. And there, I'll move this down here so we can get a little more space, a little more cozy. Okay, well, 64 times p, the opposite of or the inverse of multiplying is dividing. So now we got to divide. I'm going to move that equal sign a little further down. I'm going to do my scratch work on the side, because doing it over here is going to be sloppy, right? I know I can definitely divide this by, I'm going to go gutsy. I'm going to say I can definitely divide this by 4. 64 divided by 4 is, see, 64 divided by 4 is 16. You don't believe me? Do the long division, please. And let me know if I do it wrong. Check me in the morning. Hey, Mr. V, you totally blew that problem last night. Yes, I probably did. Be nice when you tell me I blew it. I have feelings too, you know. Minus 28. 2. 4 goes in there. 5 times 365. Okay. So this is 375, which has been divided by 16. Okay, cool. Let's go from there. I guess we just gotta do this the old-fashioned way, right? 16 on the outside, 375 on the inside. 16 goes into there twice. Bring down a 5, another 5. 16 is gonna go into that 3 times. We're gonna subtract. Let's see, 3 times 6 is 8. Carried with 18. Sorry, not 8. 1 plus 3 is 4. This is gonna be a 7.0. That's going to go into 70. Let's see. Oh, I got to put a decimal up here. That's going to go in 4 times. So we're going to minus 64. And we'll get a 6 back. Bring down another 0. And I'm going to stop right there. So this just ended up being 23.4. So the percent is 23.4. Cool. We're not leaving our answers like that. I am going to be a stickler about complete sentences, especially in this unit, because P means nothing to me. So, here we go. 15 is 23.4% of 64. Is definitely one valid sentence. Another valid sentence would be 23.4% is... Wow, I just totally butchered that one. I got another one in mind. There's another one. I bet I come up with it later. So that's one way. That's one way of doing it. Well, 23.4%. Geez. What if I'm on a multiple choice test and it's like I'm on a time limit, dude? You got me dividing? Seriously? I got like 40 questions to do. Not cool. True. Let's estimate. No, I did not use my ruler. Bad, Mr. V. Yeah. I'll put P and W for part and whole. This is still 100. And I'm still solving for some percent. Nothing's changed. Actually, I will write it out because that'll get confusing. Seeing 2 P's like that. Okay. 15 is what percent of 64? If you're competent with your multiplication, you'll notice, isn't this kind of close to 60? Like 4 times 15 is equal to 60? That's going to be way easy to solve. Let's check it out. 15 over P is equal to, I got 60 over 100. If I divide top and bottom by 10, this is really just 6 over 10. So 150 is equal to 6p. Divide both sides by 6. P equals 25. Do the long division, check me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's 25. Well, here's my complete sentences. 15 is about 25% of 64. I had to put the word about because I estimated, but could save you a little bit of time on a test because I did that pretty quick. I just hit my hand on my desk. Let's do another one. What percent of 130 is 30? Great question. Let's do it. I'll use my fancy ruler. Wow, I just made that box super big. Don't make your boxes too big. They do eat up space. Make them large enough that you can read them. But don't go crazy being nitpicky. Got numbers, we got percent. Again, it's asking what percent, so I'm going to call this X. Makes my life easier. This is the part, this is the whole. So let's read the question very carefully. What percent of 130 is 30? So what part of 130? So we're asking what part of this big number? Well, that means that 130 must be the whole. Is 30. Cool, here we go. 30 over x is equal to 13 over 10. I'll start with 130. But really, I know I'm simplifying that. Divide by 10, divide by 10. I'm going to cross multiply. So now you get 300 is equal to 13x. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 13. So this equals 1. Let's see what this gets me. 13 goes into that twice, minus 260. Let's see, that gives me 1. Nope, that's going to be a 0 actually. So that's just 40 now left over. 13 goes into 49 3 times. Minus 39. This is a 1. Let's go for 1 decimal place. And it's going to be a 0. Let's add another. So we got to put 0 up here. Don't forget that 0 and decimal. Don't forget that. And let's drop down another 0. 13 goes into that. 13 goes into that. Let's see, we get 52 if we got 4. So it's got to be 4, but if that would be 104, it's got to be 7. 7 times 3 is 1, 21, 91. So we get 9 back. Let's stop right there. So my answer would be 23. Oh, so x equals 23.07. Be my final answer technically. But I'm going to round. So 23.1% of 130 is 30. Would be what you would put. Cool. Let's think about rounding. 130 is kind of massive. So is 30. So what could I round that to that would make my life easier? Well, 130 is pretty, it's a pretty big number. So if I move it too much and mess with it too much, I'm gonna be in serious trouble. But I definitely know that it's pretty obvious that both of those are divisible by 3 or by 10. So that's kind of nice. Well, here's another way of doing the problem. If you know what the total is, like if you know what the whole is, you can always put 130 and 30 on top of it. Now it's just simplifying a fraction. And I know a lot of you are really good at that already. So if you know what the total is, you can just put that in the denominator and put the part in the numerator. I'm going to simplify by 10, and we're going to get 3 over 13, which I'm going to do my division down here. 13 goes into 3, well, not at all, so I'm going to put a 0 and a decimal. A 0 and a decimal, not just a decimal. Add a 0. Okay, we get 2 minus 26, 4. Bring down 0. 13 goes into that. 3 times minus 39. Put down a 1. 0 comes down. Yeah, it's too small for that, so we gotta add a 0. Bring down another 0. Goes into there 7 times. So this is about equal to 0.2307. Have to change the decimal into a percent. So this is equal to 23.07, which is about 23.1%. Don't forget that percent symbol. Bad mojo. Another way of doing it, just a little different. If you get you can get confused on just about anything. Do whatever works for you. Whatever makes sense, go for it. All right. Dr. Evil bought, this is my third and final example. Dr. Evil bought 200 lasers from the Acme Corporation, but only 11 of the lasers worked. What percent were broken? Not what percent worked, but what percent were broken. So, this is a little bit of a different question. Bought 20 lasers from the Acme Corporation. Okay, well, we can figure out what percent weren't working pretty easily. We can just, or were working. I can make a fraction, and this is the number that were total. That was the total. And these ones were working. I can times this by 5 and this one by 5, and I get 55 over 100, which if it's divisible by 100, that's automatically 55%. Sick. What's that percent mean? This percent is the percent that's working. I don't want the percent that's working, I want the percent that are not working. Okay? So we got to take 100 minus 55. This is 5, this is a 4. So 45% of them, they were not working. They were broken. Cool. So 45% of the lasers delivered were broken. And if a company ever sends you that much of something that's broken, you get on the phone, you call them and say, hey man, that ain't cool. That's definitely one way of doing it. Here's another way. If this number were working, how many were broken? I did that backwards. I gave the answer. Oops. I would subtract 11 from 20 and get 9. 9 of them were broken. So I would take the 9 broken divided by the 20 working. Again, I'm going to notice, hey, I can times this by 5, times that by 5. 45 over 100. 40, that's 45%. And hey, look, I subtracted in both of these problems, and I ended up doing this in both ways. But I still got the answer that 45% of the lasers delivered were broken. So, 2 slight different ways of doing that problem. Up to you how you do it. And I'm sure there's another way of doing it that I'm not even thinking about. But you guys are pretty clever and you come up with stuff all the time. So, that's it for this time. I'll see you next time.